From the field to the film room to the war room, we've got you covered every step of the way as the road to the draft ends right now. Hello and welcome to another episode of the Armchair Scouts. I am your host, Shane Haff. You can follow me on Twitter at Shane Haff NFL. And tonight we are bringing to a conclusion our 2025 draft rankings, talking about our top 10 defensive backs. And I'm joined by the whole crew as normal. Up first, we've got Dibes. Give him a follow on Twitter at Mr. Crockpot. Be sure to check out his podcast, Party on Broad. Dibes, how are you doing tonight?
Doing well, man. I'm ready for next Thursday. I'm just ready. It needs to be next Thursday right now.
I agree. I'm also joined by his co-host on Party on Broad, Ryan. Give him a follow on Twitter at Philly Sports PSA. Ryan, how are you doing?
I'm doing fantastic. I'm just like Dibes. I am ready for this thing to get here and see who everybody drafts. It's the best part of the time.
All right. And last but not least, I am joined by my co-host on Chalk Talk, Mark Henry Jr. Give him a follow on Twitter at @MarkHenryJr_. Be sure to check out his Tough Cover radio show every Saturday. Mark, how are you doing tonight?
I'm good. I feel like whenever a Notre Dame guy has come up on these shows so far, I've had to be negative on the Notre Dame guys. Now I get to be a homer. So bring on the arguments against my guys. I'm excited to talk to Notre Dame guys on this show.
All right. Well, we are going to dive in. And if you haven't listened to it yet, you can go check out our Birds of the Round Table, where we did a full first-round mock draft as well, and here's some of the guys we talked about there. But without any further ado, let's dive into our top defensive backs. We're going to go 10-1. I'll lead us off here with my number 10 cornerback. I think he was – he is number 7 for Mark, and I don't think he was in anybody else's top 10. It is Darian Porter out of Iowa State. Porter was a high school wide receiver and a track star. He was a 2-time champion in the 400-meter dash, committed to Iowa State in 2019 when he redshirted. Then he played special teams in 2020, but retained his eligibility because of COVID, was a special teamer again in 2021 before converting to cornerback in 2022. He did not become a starter until 2024, which was his 6th college football season. So late to the position. He's already 24 years old, so he is an older prospect, but he's got the 9.99 relative athletic score. Super fast, explosive. He's got a rare physical profile for the position. He's 98th percentile height, 93rd percentile arm length, 98th percentile 40-yard dash. And so when you have those tools in a guy, especially one that's late to the position, it's something that you can work with, right? He's really disruptive at the catch point. He uses his length really well. He's physical downhill in the running game. He can disengage from blockers. Obviously, he's got a lot of special teams experience, which can get you on the field. However, because of his height and his longer strides, he is a tight-hipped player, which can mean he struggles with his transitions at times. He can struggle to tackle shiftier players in the open field. It really shows up like at the top of routes against shiftier receivers and man coverage. He'll give up too much separation. He can be slow to react to screens. And at the end of the day, he's an old prospect with limited experience at the position. And so that opens up a lot of discussions about what his ceiling is and how quickly he can get to that ceiling and how long it can last. And so those are some of the questions swirling around him. He's got the elite athleticism. It's just how you answer some of those other questions. So for me, I gave him a 2nd-round grade. He's my number 10 overall corner, and I think he would fit best as a boundary corner in a zone-heavy scheme that's going to prevent him from having to go through a lot of those man coverage transitions. So that is Darian Porter. Mark, you're a little higher on him than I am at number 7 overall. Anything you want to add in on Porter?
Yeah, I love this guy. He's probably the number 1 guy that I've kind of fallen in love with in this process. It kind of reminds me of Tariq Woolen a couple of years ago when we all kind of fell in love with him. That's my comp here. If you want to pull that up, Shane, for the RAS chart. Tariq Woolen's about an inch taller, but same kind of arm length, a lot of similar agility profiles. Another guy who kind of who Porter compares similarly to is Joey Porter Jr., similar Porter. But I think Porter's a legit first round guy. Usually, I feel like a 1 year starter who is the age he is, I'm usually a bit skeptical of that. But like Shane said, I think the athleticism is enough for me to buy in on. Looking at a guy who had a 9.99 relative athletic score, the 5th best cornerback score of all time at RAS, and the ball skills, the athleticism, 3 picks last year. I think all of that with him being a receiver turned corner, it feels like there's an upside that I don't think that is being considered in some of his rankings. So I think there's a chance he's, one of the 10 to 15 best players in this whole class in a couple of years with his athleticism, his kind of upside with his limited reps at the position. And I loved what I saw. So I love this guy. And like Shane mentioned, he was a special team star as well. So and obviously if you're drafting him in the first, second round, you're hoping he's not playing special teams, but he did block 5 kicks, blocked 4 punts and 1 kick. And I think he's going to be at his best in zone. He's probably going to need to gain strength to be a great kind of tackler or run defender. But I do think he's a willing tackler and a willing run defender. So I really like this kid.
All right. Dives, Ryan, anything you guys want to add in on him before we move on?
I might be too low on him. Like Mark said, his upside is very interesting. And he's old. Yeah, he's raw, but I mean, numbers wise, he had a passer rating allowed last year of 4.7. That's ridiculous. So maybe I missed it.
All right. Let's keep rolling here. And Ryan, I'll throw it to you next. Your number 10 is Maxwell Hairston. He is number 5 for Dives, and he's number 8 for Mark and I. So talk to me about Hairston.
Yeah, Hairston just moments ago just accepted an invitation to the NFL draft. So usually they get that right, and usually they get only first rounders there. So Harrison kind of exploded onto the scene last year, where he had 5 interceptions and 2 pick sixes against Vanderbilt. He earned a second team all SEC honors both last year and this year. But he was a little bit limited with injuries. I think he only played in 7 games, but still was able to get another pick 6. He tied Kentucky record for most pick sixes in a career. He is a guy that, if the ball is in the air and he is anywhere near it, he is going to make a play on it. He sees it. He absolutely hawks it. He seems to have a great change of direction, good fluidity in his movements. And he just really has kind of a great feel for, when in zone coverage, and just a smart and intelligent player. But I think from everything that I've read, though, he's such a great leader to that Kentucky defense. He's somebody that, his energy, people feed off that energy that he brings. Now, I will say he's a little bit smaller. Certainly that will be something that coaches will want to get him a little bit bulkier, a little bit bigger. And because of that, he doesn't really have the strength. I think that he might be needing for the next level, but again, that certainly can be fixed. But other than that, I'll say he's a little bit too aggressive at times. But honestly, I think he seems to be able to make up for it and close in when he does make a mistake in that way. So, I absolutely have him risen up my boards recently, and I'm excited to kind of see where he might go in the first round this year.
All right, Dibes, anything you want to add in on Hairston?
Yeah, I think he's a sneaky Eagles selection at 32. If things don't go their way, I think he can thrive in zone or man, and I think he's a great athlete. Obviously, this is one of the biggest winners of the draft process. He has risen and risen and risen. As you mentioned earlier, we did a mock just before this, and I had him going to the Buffalo Bills, I think at number 30. So keep an eye on this guy. Again, if some of their top, defensive linemen are not sitting there at 32 and there's no trade back, and maybe no offensive lineman they're interested in, Maxwell Harrison could be a guy.
Yeah, I will say one of the things that really stuck out to me with him is he was an awful tackler. 27% missed tackle rate in 2024, but it is also worth noting he had a massive spike in missed tackle rate after a shoulder injury. So that could have been a contributing factor, but in general, I don't think he was a very good tackler. And, he's smaller, 183 pounds is 31st percentile. And so you maybe expect that, but I projected him out as a developmental zone boundary corner. Even though he's smaller, he never really played in the slot, only 12 career snaps in the slot. He played at the boundary. And although his speed's really good, I didn't think he was like the smoothest in like his transitions and stuff. So I do think you want him at the boundary, not in the slot. But yeah, so that's kind of where I had Hairston. He was number 8 overall for me. Mark has given the universal symbol for things we talk about when it comes to defensive backs. Go ahead and fill us in, Mark.
I thought he was a little handsy. I thought he's feisty, which I think is a good thing too from a DB. So you always kind of walk that tightrope of, do I like the feistiness or am I worried about the handsiness? I think he's probably right now on that line, or whatever that line you want to call that line. It's probably right. It could go either way. But yeah, great ball skills, super fast. The comp I made was, again, Dives asked me, how do I come up with all these comps? Some of them are just as simple as the RAS chart. It spits out 5 names with a very similar chart. And this one spit out Denzel Ward. And that might be a little lofty for a back end of the first round corner. I have Harrison, I think 23rd or 24th, something like that overall. So Denzel Ward might be a little bit lofty, but pretty similar size there. Both kind of track stars. I think there's some validity.
All right. Well, let's keep rolling along. We'll go to Dibes, number 10, guys. Number 9 for Ryan, and outside the top 10 for Mark and I. It is safety Andrew Makuba from Texas. So Dibes, talk about Makuba.
Great Eagles target here on day 2. Love the fit. His impact on the field was immediately evident during his debut season at Clemson, but the one we're talking about tonight is the one we saw with the Texas Longhorns in 2024. He had 69 tackles, 5 picks. He was the leader of that secondary. The guy popped off the tape every single game I saw, right there with Anthony Hill, a linebacker for Texas that we'll be talking about for a long time. He's sensational. But Andrew Makuba, man, he's got natural athleticism. He's a solid back-end defender. I think he fits the Eagles extremely well. Due to his elite versatility, he could, go in the slot. He can be a deep safety. He can do a lot of different things that I think Vic Fangio would be really interested in. He's got a quick trigger in the run game, solid tackler. He's got background as a track and field soccer player, which is exactly what you see. At the combine, he ran a 4.45 40-yard dash. Again, his ability to just excel as a deep safety, create turnovers, and a solid zone-heavy scheme fit. He maybe needs to add some weight to his frame. But anyway, I just like Andrew Makuba, and I think he is like one of the ideal scenarios for the Eagles on day 2.
Yeah, he played 415 career snaps in the box, 1,100 at free safety, and 800 in the slot. So he's got a little bit of that versatility to move around. Ryan, anything you want to chime in on Makuba?
Yeah, I've been a big fan of him, honestly, apparently Pumper too. Ever since he became the first true freshman to start at Clemson since I think like early 70s. This guy had a masterful career at Clemson, transferred over to Texas, and all he did was lead the SEC in interceptions and was a cornerstone to that defense. I honestly, I think he would be such a great fit, a day two kind of guy. But yeah, man, he is just a smart individual. And such a great story too. I don't know if you guys know, he's from Zimbabwe, came over to move to Austin, Texas when he was like 9 or 10. Just kind of had to learn the game from there. But I'm a huge fan of him, and I would love to see the Eagles take him in the second or third round.
Yeah, I have. I said Makuba. I gave him a second round grade and said that he is a deep safety. You either want him as a split field safety or as the post safety in a single high scheme where he can use those coverage instincts and he can trigger downhill in the run game without ending up, in many man coverage situations. And he's a guy that I would love to see the Eagles land in day two as well. Not Ryan. Mark, anything that you want to chime in on Makuba?
Yeah, a little undersized. I don't know if he's a great athlete, but the ball skills, 5 picks in 2024, super experienced, obviously played at Clemson a long time, played at Texas, both pretty high levels there, obviously. And my comp was Ronnie Hickman, who's I don't know how many people know a lot about Ronnie Hickman, but he's 2-year pro. He finished as the number 6 safety his rookie year, number 18 safety this year. He's on the Browns, so he's turned into a really good safety. He's only 6 feet tall. I think he's about 15 pounds bigger than Makuba, so he's a little bigger than Makuba is. But like you guys said, great cover guy for a safety. The weird thing is that I don't know if this really matters. It's not something I saw on film. The agility drills were really bad. In terms of the combine, 25% in the shuttle, 41% in the 3-cone. I don't know if that matters as much at safety as it does at corner. And it's just a little bit of a weird note because he graded out super well in terms of the 40, of the 93rd percentile of the 40 for his position. Just a weird thing to note.
Yeah. All right. That is our number 10s. Let's get to number 9. Dives, you have at number 9, Shavon Revel Jr. He is number 8 for Ryan, number 10 for Mark. Talk to us about Revel.
Yeah, Shavon Revel Jr. He's an interesting guy. One of the more interesting ones, maybe polarizing prospects, at least in the rounds 1 through 2. He's a physical corner. He moves fast. He strikes hard. He plays a bully brand of football on the perimeter. He's got elite length. He's got heavy hands and press. Projects as a starting perimeter cornerback at the next level. Did not test at the combine. He's recovering from a torn ACL. That reportedly he should be ready to go for training camp. But again, this guy's really a lot about the projection. 6'2", nearly 200 pounds, 32-plus inch arm length. And he's a bit green when it comes to playing in zone. It's something he didn't do a lot at East Carolina. So that is definitely a question mark on his profile. And some teams might not like his age. He's entering his rookie season as a 24-year-old rookie. But, yeah, you look at the tools, you look at his size, there's definite upside as him being a starting outside cornerback in the NFL. So, yeah.
Yeah, particularly I think as a boundary press cornerback, he's really good in press coverage, and he can press and then he can flip his hips and run with guys with ease. So yeah, he is an older prospect, 23 years old, but coming off that September ACL injury. But I have a second round grade on him as well as a guy that if you're going to press a lot on the perimeter, he's a guy that would fit really well for you. I think. Ryan, anything you want to add in on Revel?
Yeah, I mean, he, I'd certainly take stock in a prospect story. This guy was a JUCO guy, and the story is that he literally worked a graveyard shift at Amazon warehouse, and showed up to an East Carolina open tryout, and just absolutely ran I forget what it was, like a 4.3 40, and a vertical of through the roof, basically. So he kind of has those humble beginnings. Yes, he is, again, a little green as far as overall playing, but man, he he can drop his hips and move and change direction better than most players that I've seen. And he's got recovery speed that makes him kind of make up for any slight mistakes that he makes on the field. So I think before the injury, I think he would have been a first round pick for sure. Now I think he's definitely a day 2 guy, but I'm a big fan of his too.
All right, Mark, anything that you want to add in?
No, it's one of those guys where I feel like there was a good chance if he played the full year. We're talking about a first round pick, and we're talking about a guy like Hairston who ended up rising the way he did. And Revel could go in the first round. I have him as a second round grade. He's I think he's my lowest second round grade before it goes into the third round. But it's a shame. It feels like a good amount of these DBs missed time last year, which after kind of halting the hype that they had going into the year.
All right. Well, let's keep moving along then. Let's go to my number 9. He's actually number 6 for all 3 of you guys. It is Nick Emanwari, the safety from South Carolina. So Emanwari was a linebacker in high school, 3-star recruit coming out of high school, and he was first-team freshman all SEC. So he hit the ground running right away in South Carolina. He's 21 years old. Has the 10.0 relative athletic score, which I always like. Played 1,000 snaps in the box, 700 at free safety, and 650 in the slot throughout his career. And he just has freakish size. 98th percentile height, 95th percentile weight. He is essentially a linebacker size with safety movement skills. He's got good quickness and transitions for his size. He can play split field safety looks. He is going to struggle with range, I think, as a single high safety, even though he's got the 4.38 speed at the combine. I don't think he's a guy you want to task with playing center field often. He triggers downhill really aggressively and sorts through traffic well in the run game. He can generate knockback on ball carriers. He's a reliable tackler, only missed 7% of his tackles in 2024. And he's got good ball skills, 6 interceptions over the last 2 seasons. However, I'm a little lower on him, I think, than Eagles fan consensus is, because I don't see some of the athleticism translating over to his tape. I think he struggles to open his hips and run against guys downfield while maintaining his leverage. And so because of that, he struggles to play man coverage against slot receivers. And Mark mentioned somebody being handsy earlier. He is way too handsy downfield. He was flagged 5 times in 2024. It was the most among the top 20 defensive backs that I looked at and compiled stats for. And I don't – he has really good speed, but he doesn't have the best vision. He's slow to react. And so he makes up for it with his speed in college, but that might not be the case in the NFL. So I gave him a second-round grade. I think he fits best as like a strong safety, box safety, linebacker hybrid type guy for a single high scheme or for some sort of rotation-based scheme that's going to let him play downfield quickly. Because I just think you want him near the line of scrimmage. And if you've got to keep him near the line of scrimmage, I do think it limits what you can do as a defense. And we've talked about before, like, he can do a lot of different things, but it's hard to build your defense around that guy unless you got somebody to replace it afterwards. So that's why I'm maybe not as high on him as I think everybody else is. Dibes, what are your thoughts on Emanwari?
I think he nailed it. I don't like the fit as much as another safety in this draft, mostly because I think, like you said, he's more of a in-the-box kind of dude. Than a coverage guy who I would prefer. And he's all projection. He's very much I mean, the tape is fun, but for the most part, you're banking on those tools. So I'm with you on that.
All right. Ryan, anything you want to kick in?
Yeah, I'm surprised this guy isn't playing linebacker, honestly. I mean, he's a big safety. But he can run real quick, and he's a nasty hitter who would like you said, in the box help him with the run game. Absolutely. It's just, whether or not he can develop kind of to be more of a traditional safety is the question.
And who knows? I mean, Vic Fangio could use him as a chess piece. It's definitely possible.
Sure.
Yeah.
We can
Mark,
do Linebackers.
anything you want to add in?
If you want to pull up that chart, the award goes to Brian Pumper in the comments because Jeremy Chin is the comp for Nick Emanwari. So, I think it's pretty obvious comp there with the athletic profile. And you know what? Like, I get maybe that the tape isn't as good as the chart. I'm going to buy into a guy with the ball skills and athleticism that this guy has. He's a first-round pick for me. He's my number 3 safety, but really these safeties to me, it's all about like what's your flavor of ice cream you want at safety, for whatever team you're looking for. Like I think a man where he's kind of the upside guy, you're taking a swing on the athleticism and traits, working out and booming into a superstar at the position. Malachi Starks is kind of like the ball football guy, kind of like versatility chess piece type. And then Watts is kind of the center fielder, big play, kind of Chauncey Gardner-Johnson-ish kind of takeaway type guy at safety, not to throw away multiple other guys. But I just think that the safety position comes down to just whatever kind of scheme or fit that you want with these guys.
The Nick Emanwari comp should be DK Metcalf if he played safety.
Nice.
That's like Nolan Smith when Nolan Smith's comp was DeAndre Hopkins if he was an edge rusher.
Yeah. So, all right. Let's keep rolling along here. We're going to jump all the way up to my number 6 guy who nobody else has in their top 10. And that is Trey Amos, cornerback from Ole Miss. So Amos was a quarterback and a cornerback in high school, state champion in the long jump. He was a 3-star recruit who went to Louisiana Lafayette for 3 seasons before going to Alabama, where he played less than 350 snaps. Then he left for Ole Miss, where he had a breakout season as a 5th-year senior and was named first team All-SEC. He's 23 years old. 8.37 relative athletic score, 6 foot and 6/8 of an inch, 195 pounds, ran a 4.43 40-yard dash, played 2,200 snaps at the boundary throughout his collegiate career. He is a physical cornerback with great size and length. He thrives in press coverage, has strong hands at the line of scrimmage, and he's got sufficient lateral mobility to be able to press and bail. I think one of the places he really shines is at the catch point. He plays the ball at its highest point, and he does it with physicality. He is a physical run defender. He sheds blocks really well. He played both man coverage and zone coverage at Ole Miss. He can play off coverage, half turn techniques with his eyes in the backfield. You could put him in like cover 3, off man coverage sort of schemes. I do think he's inconsistent going through his transitions, especially from his back pedal to turning and running, which can lead to separation downfield. He is a high-hipped player, and that hampers his reaction time. And you see that he did the shuttle. He had a 36th percentile shuttle time. So he is also an inconsistent tackler. He tries to arm tackle too often. Can be manipulated by quarterbacks in zone coverage. He's overly aggressive at times. And at the end of the day, he's a late bloomer. And I'm always leery of 5th-year breakout players. And I didn't mention that I mentioned it for Porter. It wasn't as much of a concern for me with Porter because he literally changed to a position he hadn't played before 3 years ago. This guy Amos played cornerback in high school, and he played cornerback at several different colleges, and it took him till his 5th year to really break out. And I'm always scared of that old late breakout guy. So I got a 2nd-round grade on him. I said he's a boundary cornerback in a press man or a cover 3 heavy scheme. But I do have some concerns as well, just the late breakout. So he wasn't on anybody else's top 10. Does anybody have anything they want to throw out on Amos before we move on? Ryan's given the universal sign for he's handsy. Mark's backing that up.
This guy's just for me anyway. This is a guy that kind of rose up on certainly on my boards. He's just outside of my top 10, but yeah, I don't know. I'm a little bit kind of concerned being 3 years at a smaller school, then jumping right to Alabama and then jumping over to Ole Miss. Again, maybe that's just kind of the nature of how college football is at this point. But yeah, I don't know. I think things that I've read that he's certainly a little bit indecisive, which certainly leads to a little bit more separation, and occasionally can get caught flat-footed. So yeah, I think he's certainly as you say, maybe a kind of more of a raw prospect, but he's played for a while, so that certainly would be concerning to me too.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's keep rolling here. We are halfway through. Let's go to Xavier Watts, who clocks in at number 5 for me. He's number 4 for Mark, number 8 for Dibes, and number 5 for Ryan. Mark, you want all the you want West Virginia. You want all of the Notre Dame guys. Talk to me about Xavier Watts.
Yeah, I mean, this is, arguably one of my favorite Notre Dame players to watch in, my lifetime of being a Notre Dame fan. And he's just an absolute big play machine. 7 picks in 2023, 6 picks in 2024, 6 foot 204. Oh, not a crazy athlete, a 6.99 relative athletic score. He was a receiver turned linebacker, and then he became a safety and became a 2-time All-American. I just mentioned the 13 picks. He also had 14 passes defensed over those 2 years. He played all over the defense for Notre Dame in 2024. Al Golden kind of used him as a little bit of a chess piece. He logged snaps in the box, at free safety, at slot corner. He's got incredible anticipation skills. He's got great sideline to sideline range as a tackler. He can deliver a boom for sure to running backs. There were questions about his tackling kind of in 2023, and I think he did away with a lot of those in 2024. He really became the leader of the defense at Notre Dame, and a Notre Dame defense that rode their defense all the way to the national championship game. And I think Watts was arguably the biggest part of that and the biggest reason that they made that run on the defensive side of the ball. So my comp for him was Kirby Joseph. Kirby Joseph has become one of the best safeties in the NFL for the Detroit Lions, and he was another one of these guys who was an awesome playmaker in college at Illinois. And I just think with these DBs, something I look for that I do think translates time and time again is balls. I don't think ball skills are something that go away at the next level, and I think what you see Xavier Watts, kind of the plays he makes anticipation wise and up at the catch point, and 4 pick sixes in his time there. I am super bullish on this guy. This guy's going to be a starting safety. I see no way he's not. Where's the upside? You can argue limited athleticism, like the comment there. He's kind of old. Maybe he's not, one of these athletes like Emmanuel, who, if he pops, he's going to be a top 5 safety necessarily. But I think he's going to be, one of the biggest playmakers at the position. I think he's going to continue making those big plays.
Yeah, I gave him a first-round grade. I said he's scheme diverse, but will thrive if he is routinely allowed to play around the line of scrimmage, which he played 646 snaps in the box, 900 at free safety, and 500 in the slot throughout his time in college. So a lot of versatility there, a lot of different things that he could do for you. Ryan, anything you want to add in on Watts?
Yeah, I mean, this guy is around the ball constantly, and he is an absolute thumper. He's got a nasty streak on him, and yeah, he's a fun prospect, honestly, to watch. And yeah, he made that Notre Dame defense very enjoyable to watch during the run. So yeah, I'm excited to see where he ends up going. I would absolutely love him in Midnight Green. That's for darn sure.
All right. Well, let's keep Dibes, anything you want to add in on Watts?
No, you guys nailed it. I'll just add, I remember this time last year, maybe not this time, but before he returned to Notre Dame for 2024, like he was widely considered like a day 3 guy. And, for someone who like literally does this follows college football every single week. Like Xavier Watts, every single week looked like the best player on that defense. So it's good to see him get the recognition, round 1, round 2 talk here, maybe being safety 1 as the best ball hawk in this draft. I feel like PFF disrespected him for a long time, and that has not fallen away from like guys like Danny Stutzman. But shout out to Xavier Watts, man. He was a fun watch.
And apparently when Benjamin Morrison went down, he kind of took like a big role in getting the corners ready to play and step in for Morrison. And Leonard Moore was a freshman and had an awesome year, especially once Morrison went down. And there was a big article around the national championship that he kind of gave Watts like a ton of the credit for that.
That's cool. Yeah, I mean, he's a straight up leader, man.
All right, well, let's stay in the safety room and let's go to another safety. Let's talk Malachi Starks, who is number 3 for everybody but Mark. He is down at number 5 for Mark, it looks like. Ryan, why don't you lead us off with Malachi Starks?
Yeah, Malachi Starks, again, another Georgia Bulldog here. But I would certainly love to add yet another one. He has just kind of a high IQ, natural hands, and great body control, especially in midair. It seems like he's able to kind of, twerk his body, to where he needs to. He's great at tracking, and what's great about him is you can tell that, while tracking, he seems to be running full speed. Which some guys you can kind of tell that maybe they slow down a little bit while they're kind of concentrating, if you will. But he's got a natural zone instinct. He's great at run support, keeping his eyes in the backfield, and he's got 4.3 speed. I will say he kind of got a little bit over aggressive, especially when attacking downhill. Gets fooled a little bit on the play action, but he has good make-up speed, and he's got a good technique. But I will say sometimes he does take a bit of questionable angles in his pursuits. But overall, he's a great tackler. He's a good pass catcher. He's a great run defender. So. I will say, this is the absolute, perfect fit, I think, would be for the Eagles here. But, I mean, again, it's a love to get another Georgia Bulldog in the building. But Malachi Starks was absolutely just a great player this past couple of years. So,
Played about 550 snaps in the box, about 1,200 at free safety, and 650 in the slot over his career. So I'm very high on him as well. I think he's a pretty scheme diverse guy. So Malachi Starks up at number 3 for me too. Dibes, anything you want to add in on Starks?
This is Dibes' guy.
Yeah, I would trade up for him, and if he's fallen to like that, like early 20s, mid 20s range, I would jump all over that. Yeah, his RES score was poor, but so was Brian Branches, and he's doing just fine. You look at what makes Malachi Starks special. It's just the adding another chess piece for Vic Fangio, having 2 cornerbacks, safeties like Cooper DeJean and a Malachi Starks, guys that can balance a defensive formation and just be weapons. That versatility, man, just makes it so hard for opposing quarterbacks. And I would love to have that personnel for Vic Fangio going forward. Malachi Starks has always been one of my favorites. And oh my God, I will be devastated if that'll be fun. I'll be slamming tables and running to my fridge for more cocktails. So that's for sure.
I will say, like, there are some reps that I watch him and I just don't even understand what he's doing. Like, he'll make he'll just like abandon his responsibility and leave his guy wide open. And you see those every once in a while. And I would I would love to be able to sit down with him and ask, like, what are we doing here? Like, because I don't understand the thought process on some of those. I do think he is a lot more athletic than his combine testing shows, though. I wrote down that he has quick feet and smooth transitions in coverage with burst to drive downhill and contest throwing windows. So,
but by the way, like Brian Branch, if you guys remember, I think I had him 12th overall on my big board for a lot of the same reasons. Had a horrible RAS score and fell to the second round, and hopefully he falls into the laps of the Eagles at 32.
Yeah. So, all right. Well, Mark, I know you hate Malachi Starks because he plays for Georgia instead of Notre Dame. But anything beyond that you want to kick in on the Malachi Starks discussion?
I like Starks a lot. I totally agree that he's a better athlete than he graded out. I don't really understand how he graded out that poorly in terms of his quickness with the shuttle and the 3-cone. I don't see that on tape. So Kevin Byard was my comp for him, and Eagles fans hear that and they're like, that guy stinks. But if you go look at Kevin Byard's PFF grades over his entire career, he's been like a top 10 safety like 8 times. So he had a heck of a career. So for me to compare Malachi Starks to him shows that I do like Malachi Starks, Shane, even if he didn't wear a golden dome for a helmet. But he's kind of that chess piece, that versatile guy. He's kind of like I feel like Watts is the big play, the highlight guy. You look at the picks, a man worries like look at the Wrath Shark guy. And Malachi Starks is like, yeah, did you watch the tape though? It's like he's
Bible.
He's that guy for that. So I think that there's very little chance he's not an impactful starting safety or whatever role he ends up in.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's keep going to a guy that Mark really likes for obvious reasons. It's Benjamin Morrison. Benjamin Morrison is number 3 for Mark. And actually he's number 7 for everybody else. So Mark, talk about your other Notre Dame guy here.
To me, this is the one that's like I'm more even bullish on than Watts because Morrison, I just think if he played if he didn't have a hip injury, then I think he'd be a top 15 pick. He was a top 15 pick until week 7 last year when he got hurt. And if the argument is it was a hip injury and we're concerned about the hip, I don't know. I'm not a hip doctor. But what I can tell you is when he was on the football field, there's not a corner in this class outside of Travis Hunter and Will Johnson that can compete with this guy. He's 6 picks in 2022 as a freshman, 3 picks in 2023 as a sophomore, 20.5% forced incompletion rate. He's great in press. I think he's awesome in press. Great at crowding the receiver at the line. I think he can play outside. I think he can play in the slot. Very willing run defender and tackler for his size. He's the son of a former NFL safety, so he's got the NFL bloodlines running through his veins. I just think this is another one of those guys. I mentioned a couple already that, Hairston, Revel, a couple of these guys that had the end of their season robbed from them and by proxy have kind of hurt their draft stock. And I think the same's happened with Morrison. It does seem like he's had a little bit of a rise over the last week or two, and I think he's been able to work out for some teams a little bit here and there. But this is a guy who I think he's probably going to end up going in the second round, and I think he's going to be the steal of the draft. I have him as my 11th prospect overall. He could really easily be my 8th prospect overall. Honestly, he has the same grade as the guys that I have 8 through 10. So I love Benjamin Morrison. I know it sounds biased, but I was also the guy that said Riley Leonard was not an NFL player, and that Jack Kaiser's barely an NFL player, and that Riley Mills barely, and Howard Cross isn't. I do try to call it like I see him when Notre Dame guys are going in the 4th or 5th round, and I don't think they should be drafted. I say it. But when Benjamin Morrison's guy was going top 15 until he got hurt, as long as he's not, debilitated from a hip injury for the rest of his life, I think he's going to be pretty darn good.
All right. I won't accuse you of too much bias there because I really like Benjamin Morrison as well. Yeah. I gave him a second round grade. He was one of my high second round grades, but I said that he's going to best fit as a boundary man cover corner best paired with a more dominant CB1 to protect him from some physical matchups. Because I do have a little bit of concern about his long speed, makeup speed, some of that sort of stuff. So I kind of topped him out as like a really, really good CB2, and that pushed him down just a little bit for me. But Dibes, anything you want to add in on Benjamin Morrison?
No, I'm really high on him. He's one of my favorite scenarios that maybe the Eagles trade back a little bit and get him in the high second round or something along those lines. If a certain quarterback sitting there at 32 and how he wants to trade back, but I like the fit.
All right, Ryan, anything you want to add in?
Yeah, he's again that Notre Dame defense was a fun one to watch, especially the secondary. But yeah, Morrison's definitely a guy that I'm pretty darn high on, and would absolutely love a scenario for him to be CB2 in the future.
Will Howard and that bum Jeremiah Smith are lucky he wasn't healthy for the national championship. You know what I mean? No, he's not a bum. I'm joking. I'm joking. I saw that face from Dives.
He probably thought you were talking about Will Howard.
All right, let's keep rolling along then. Let's go to Dives. Dives, Ryan, and I all have Jahdae Barron at number 4. Mark has him down at number 9. So, Dives, I'll throw it to you first for Barron. Talk to me about him.
Yeah, man, he's special. He's the elite nickel cornerback in this draft. He's physical. He can fit the run. He can play physical coverage at the point of attack. He's a stout, physical corner who knows how to strike on the edge, dominate at the line of scrimmage, work underneath zone spaces. There is some projection. You got to be fair in this area. He played the majority of his snaps on the perimeter at Texas, so that's worth noting. But I do think his intangibles and I do think his instincts are just off the charts. And whatever team drafts him has to know his role. I don't like him on the outside, which limits his ceiling a tad. But there are some damn good slot receivers in today's NFL. So I think that issue leans more towards being a non-issue personally. I love his profile as a nickel. He's a guy that loves to do the dirty work. I think he fits best in an aggressive defensive scheme. And I would not be shocked to see this guy drafted as a borderline top 10 pick, maybe squeeze in before Will Johnson as the second cornerback selected. I think there's real buzz around Jahdae Barron. He's just a natural playmaker.
All right. Ryan, anything you want to add in on Barron?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure Dives has said this multiple times on this and or others podcasts, but Cooper DeJean really made this man quite a lot of money. The slot corner has gained in popularity, but Barron is absolutely perfect. A slot corner. He's able to stick with bigger guys. He also has special teams ability as well. So. Whether it be as a gunner, which he proved he can certainly do at Texas, but I think a lot of the questions are whether or not he can make a transition to the outside, and I think only time will tell if they even go that route. But I think he'll come into the slot and start for a great team right away.
All right, Mark, anything that you want to add in on Barron?
Yeah, I just don't think he's an outside corner. I think he's a bit of a tweener, like probably a slot corner, maybe even a safety, and just a little small. I'm not quite as in love with Barron as I think everybody else seems to be. But I do think there's some Brian Branch similarities as well. If you wanted to make that comparison with how Branch is kind of that chess piece as well. I feel like I've said chess piece too many times, so I'm going to stop myself from saying it again on this pod. But Jahdae Barron, I think, is that kind of versatile Joker role type guy.
Yeah, I said that he's highly versatile. He's played significant snaps in the box, the slot, and out at the boundary. I mean, he's played 1,100 snaps at the boundary in college, but I mean, he is 5'10", so you try to square that how you want to. But I think I gave him a first round grade, and I said he is a nickel / move piece in a zone heavy scheme. So I'm kind of projecting him inside as well, just due to that height. And that limits how high I can put him, but I do really like him. And so that's how he ended up 4th overall for me.
And by the way, he's 9th overall for me. He has a first round grade for me, which goes to show I have 9 DBs in my first round as first round grade. So every guy on my list except for Siobhan Revel, who I have 10th, is a first round grade.
All right. Well, let's get to the top 2. We all have the same top 2. They're just flipped. I have Travis Hunter first and Will Johnson second. You guys all disagree with me and have those flipped. So, Mark, I'll throw it to you first. Talk to me about Will Johnson.
Will Johnson, I thought I'd be, special and unique and the only person in the draft industry to put Will Johnson as their number 1 overall player. And Dives did the same. So Dives and I are truly the 2 guys on Will Johnson Island in the entire draft industry. There's plenty of people who could say they like Will Johnson, but nobody can say like Dives and I that they love him enough to put him number 1 overall. And I truly just think he's one of the most slam dunk prospects I've ever evaluated at any position. I see no scenario that this guy's not a top 15 to 20 corner at the next level. I compared him to Patrick Surtain. I think he's that good and that rock solid of a prospect. Former 5-star prospect out of high school, 6'2", 194, long arms, 9 picks in 3 years, 10 passes broken up, 2 years as a full-time starter before playing 6 games this year. I think he's got great closing speed, great press abilities. He can be aggressive going for the ball, so theoretically could be susceptible to double moves, but I don't really think that there's tape on him being susceptible to double moves. I love his tackling ability as a run defender, especially his first couple years. He did, it seemed, regress slightly, missed more tackles in 6 games this year than he did the previous 2 years combined. But I think that probably had a lot more to do with the rest of the defense than it had to do with him. I watch his tackling, and I think he was, excellent. In 2023, every year he's been there, he's allowed an insanely low passer rating. Brian Pumper asks, does Johnson have the speed? Show me the clip on tape where he doesn't have the speed to handle what he's being thrown at him. I think that there's some questions about the speed because he's not working out, I guess, in terms of running the 40. I don't think that there's any concerns about his speed. A little injury prone to me as well. He had 1 injury this year. I don't know. Again, I'm not a doctor, but he was the first 4-year varsity starter in his high school's history. He basically sealed Michigan's national championship win with a pick in the second half against Michael Penix. I think this guy's a gamer. I think he's special, and I think he's going to be a top 15 corner in the NFL next year.
I mean, he does have a long injury history. That's one thing I'm concerned about with him. So he's missed games in his collegiate career with a knee injury, a shoulder injury, turf toe, and then he had a hamstring injury that cost him his pro day. So that's a lot of they're unrelated injuries, but it is a lot of injuries. That,
to be fair, I did not know about. I thought the hamstring and the turf toe were the same thing. I combined them in my head this year because he missed the second half of the year with the turf toe and then had the hamstring. I thought that was the same thing, so that's my bad.
Yeah. The turf toe ended his season, and then he was supposed to be back, I think, for the pro day, and then he injured his hamstring, which happens to guys when they're doing sprinting stuff for combine all the time, but still it's noteworthy at least. But I gave him a first round grade. I said he's scheme diverse, but he's best in a zone scheme. And I mean, you're going to play him out at the boundary. Probably that's where he took over 1,100 snaps at Michigan. So
he still played 14 games his first year. He played 12 games, lasted the entirety of the Big Ten championship through the national championship when they won that. He missed a possible 7 of 39 games, and 6 of which being this year. I don't know.
Yeah, that's kind of the whole Dallas Goedert injury theorem, where it's like, man, Goedert gets injured every year, and then you go look at it, and it's like, well, he missed 3 games, but I don't know. It's worth monitoring at least.
That's cool.
Dibes, what are your thoughts on Will Johnson? You're muted though.
I have him as my number one overall prospect because I just think the physicality, the ball skills, the upside. I think he has superstar written all over it. Again, it's a bad draft. Even Abdul Carter has some question marks. Cam Ward has question marks. I think pound for pound, he's the best cornerback in the draft. And I think he's a sure thing, just like Mason Graham. And that's why he's rated like a top 5 pick. So for me, Will Johnson is just the total package. I think he's right up there with everything Mark said in terms of, he'd probably be in the same tier as like Quinyon Mitchell and Terrion Arnold in terms of cornerbacks, right in that same tier.
All right. Ryan, anything you want to add in on Will Johnson?
Yeah, I mean, Mark certainly said quite a bit. I mean, he's clearly the number one corner here, and obviously very high on all of our boards here. But I think what sticks out for me is just you can tell he's a very smart player. He's very smart about where he needs to be, where he needs to go, and he's a student of the game. So that shows in his play for sure. Outside of the normal physicalness, you can always tell when a player is a little bit smarter than everybody else. So he's definitely got that.
All right, let's get to he's my number one, I guess. He's number 2 for you guys. It's Travis Hunter. So we talked about him a little bit with wide receivers. I've since seen something come out that he's telling teams if they won't let him play both ways, not to draft him, which is an interesting development. But Ryan, talk to me about Travis Hunter as a defensive back.
Well, then looks like I wouldn't draft him because I didn't have him on my wide receiver ranking for this reason alone, is the fact that he is a much better corner than he is a wide receiver. Not to certainly put any slight down on his wide receiver ability, but he's the first to kind of play two ways in quite some time. He was actually the first ever 5-star recruit to sign with an FCS program when he went to Jackson State, followed Dion to Colorado, and certainly blew up once he got there. But what's great about him is his athleticism just kind of shines. He's fluid in all of his movement. It's just he's a very smooth player. His ability to do both allows him to be great at both. He mirrors his receivers in man coverage, like he's tied to them. He's got great ball skills. Obviously, as a wide receiver, you need to have great hands, and he certainly has them. But he's aggressive in his pursuit of the ball when playing corner, and especially at the catch rate. Pass breakups, interceptions. Is great at high pointing throws. And he also does have some nastiness to him. It doesn't really show often, but again, I think given the fact that he's so intelligent on both sides of the ball, he thinks like a receiver as playing a corner and vice versa. It really does honestly lend into each other, but. I will say his intelligence and his kind of the way he processes the game is kind of what gives him the leg up, and knowing all he knows on both sides of the ball. So I will say, he's certainly a little bit smaller than you'd probably want. But again, I think that's certainly something that I never really put a terrible too much amount of stock into. Team could always add weight at the next level, but I will say, sometimes he gets fooled, trying to make the big play rather than just staying disciplined with his assignments. And then, we'll say sometimes, tackling larger wide receivers seems to be a bit of concern sometimes for him, but. Other than that, I mean, again, I think he's a great corner. I think he's a good wide receiver, but I want they both play into each other as far as allowing him to know and think like the other. That makes him a great corner as he thinks like a wide receiver.
Yeah, the biggest thing with him is he's just so raw in his technique. He gets away with a lot of things due to his athleticism, and he's a twitchy player with great acceleration, and he's got really good long speed. But that's covered up a lot of rawness in his technique, which is not surprising for a two-way player. Like, there's only so much you can work on when you're playing two entirely different positions on opposite sides of the ball. And so I do think that he needs to pick a side, and I would be very scared as a team with him saying things like that, because I just don't think it's possible for a guy to be a full-time cornerback and a full-time receiver. I just don't think you can do it, and certainly not at 185 pounds. So depending on how much of that is just, quotes and things and what he's actually thinking, that would significantly scare me away as a team. But if you could just pick him as a cornerback, I think he's got all pro potential at cornerback, and that's where I would want to slot him in. So Dibes, anything you want to add in on Travis Hunter?
No. Generational talent, potential generational diva. That comes with the territory. I mean, he's just an unbelievable athlete, unbelievable upside. Someone's going to take him in the top 5, and they should. But that makes me a little nervous. I definitely think he's a cornerback, situational wide receiver. But yeah, those comments kind of make me a little nervous.
All right. Mark, anything you want to add in?
I don't care about the comments. I think I kind of get why he wants to do both. Like, he wants to be Ohtani, like in football. And to him, I guess I don't have a problem with them trying it for a year and seeing how it works and seeing how he kind of wears down, or if he gets hurt, he'll be back next year. Like, especially if you're one of these teams picking at the top of the draft, like Cleveland, like if you lose him for the second half of this year, is it like, I don't know. Maybe that's a dumb way to think about it, but I don't know if I believe in it long term, and that's I'm the lowest here on Hunter overall. I have him 6th overall. I think you guys all have him top 2, so I'm technically the hater here. But my take on him is I think he loses a lot of value the instant he becomes a one-way player, or the instant he becomes a situational receiver or a situational corner. I think part of the allure is that if you have 2 holes, you filled both of them, or at least you kind of filled both. You've definitely filled one, and maybe you at least took a step to filling the other. So, yeah, I'm lower on him as a corner prospect than Will Johnson by a good bit. You look at his I think Hunter's 2024 tape was just as good as any of Will Johnson's tape. The 2023 tape, maybe I shouldn't even be concerned about that, but his corner tape in 2023 is not great. You look at the passer rating allowed, it's above 90. He allowed 5 touchdowns that year, over 400 yards receiving that year. I think that was the year that I could be wrong. Maybe this was 2024, was the Stanford receiver really tore him up. Dibes, was that 2023?
2023 Stanford. Yeah. Io Manor, right?
Yeah. I'm pretty sure he tore him up that year. But yeah, I think that's kind of what's holding me back from calling him like this, generational corner prospect. If it was just the 2024 tape, I'd probably be saying that. I know he was like the number 1 prospect coming out of high school. So there's definitely a lot of pedigree, a lot of traits, a lot of stuff to like. He's a lock to be a really good player with his athleticism, but I'm not quite as crazy about it just because I do think there's some bad tape out there.
All right. Well, there you have it, guys. That is our top 10 defensive backs. I'll throw the little graphic up here on the screen because that was requested earlier. So ignore the color coding. That does not correspond to round rankings. That was just me color coding where we had different guys so I could make sure we found everybody. But so there you have it. I guess I can read them off here. From 1 to 10, I have Travis Hunter, Will Johnson, Malachi Starks, Jahdae Barron, Xavier Watts, Trey Amos, Benjamin Morrison, Maxwell Hairston, Nick Emanwari, and Darian Porter. Mark has Will Johnson, Travis Hunter, Benjamin Morrison, Xavier Watts, Malachi Starks, Nick Emanwari, Darian Porter, Maxwell Hairston, Jade Barron, and Siobhan Revel Jr. Dibes and Ryan have the same top 4. Will Johnson, Travis Hunter, Malachi Starks, Jade Barron. Then at 5, Dibes has Maxwell Hairston, Nick Eamon-Warrior, Benjamin Morrison, Xavier Watt, Siobhan Revel Jr., and Andrew Makuba. Ryan from 5 to 10 has Xavier Watts, Nick Eamon-Warrior, Benjamin Morrison, Siobhan Revel Jr., Andrew Makuba, and Maxwell Hairston. So there you have it, our top 10 defensive backs. And guys, we have done it. We have covered every position group for the 2025 NFL draft. We will be putting out the draft guide later this week. And then next week, we will be back for one final show before the draft. We're going to do our helmet sticker guys, the guys that we are highest on relative to the rest of the group. Sometimes you might have a guy number 1 overall at the position and not even be the highest on him overall. And it's always interesting to see how that shakes out. So we'll debate some of these guys, why we're higher on them, why we're lower on them, and see if we can come to a consensus next week. And the next Thursday night, be sure you guys join us live for our round 1 draft show. So guys, let's throw it around the horn and get quick final thoughts and get out of here, because we're already over an hour, as tends to happen on the DB show. But Ryan, I'll throw it to you first, man. Any final thoughts, any plugs? The floor is yours.
Yeah. What a great season of breaking these guys down with you guys. Yeah, honestly, I loved every second of it. I can't wait to do the draft show with you guys. And yeah, honestly, if you guys need anything draft related, these are the other guys to go to for sure. So certainly search them out on Twitter or on YouTube. There's 1,000,001 videos I know Dibes has put out. So yeah, it was a great season. Can't wait to have it all culminate next week and get ready for 2026 soon thereafter.
It feels like we're saying goodbye. This is it. It's always a bittersweet moment, but I second Krabby's comment here to hit that like button, subscribe, follow the Pinpool Network wherever you get your podcasts. Mark, I'll throw it to you next. Final thoughts, man.
My final thought is devoted to Noel Williams from California. I mean, we're not going to do a DB show without me mentioning one of my new guys who I've fallen in love with in this draft process. 7.12 relative athletic score, transferred to Cal for the last 2 years after the first 3 years at UNLV. 7 picks in 2024, 5 picks in his first 3 years at UNLV, 3 picks in 2023. I think he's got a little Kobe Bryant, not the Laker, the Seattle Seahawks, cornerback in him. So I really like Noel Williams. He's a guy who's snuck into my 3rd round.
And not the Kansas corner.
Mello Dotson?
No, the other Kobe Bryant.
Oh my gosh, there is another Kobe Bryant. You're right. You're right. I totally forgot about that. I think
it's COBEE.
Yeah, COBEE. Yeah, you're right.
What?
All right. I mean, yeah, you throw it to Mark for a final thought, an hour and 7 minutes into a show, and he's like, let me profile like a half dozen more defensive backs. So you need to be following this guy.
You want Malachi Moore? I can do Malachi Moore. We want to talk Azariah Thomas?
We do
not.
Another one.
We have to do ranking the next 10 defensive backs show later after I go to bed. But Dibes, I'll throw it over to you and final thoughts.
What an a-hole. Yeah, Azariah Thomas was the guy I was going to say. 6'2", 200 pounds, late day two kind of dude, perimeter corner, fits his own scheme really well. It could be a fun Eagles target to watch. So thank you everyone for watching. It's been a journey. It's as everyone here knows, I follow this all year. I do videos every week during the college football season, and it's bittersweet when it hits. But I'm not gonna lie, I am exhausted. I am ready for this thing to get going on Thursday. And then I say that, and then the following weekend I'll be starting the 2026.
Dibes, I'm pretty sure you said the same thing last year, and then
yeah, he does.
3 days later, he was like, "Oh, I've already done my first 10 videos on 2020."
We'll be like halfway through. We'll be like halfway through the first round of the live draft show, and he'll be releasing a 2026 mock draft on Twitter.
So the good thing is, like, I make all of my graphics during the preseason typically, and so there's a lot of guys that will be returning to school that I can just recycle with a lot of things.
All right. Well, since I will resist the urge to give a Billy Bowman profile, since we're already going here. But if you're interested in obscenely small safety with T-Rex arms that can't tackle, but is really fast and instinctual, you can go check out Billy Bowman. I've got to mention, my OU guy, but I'll save the whole scouting report for him. I did write one though. And gave him a 3rd round grade. But that's going to do it, guys. Thanks for following along.
One last thing. Can I say something before the Penn Staters swap my house?
What?
Kevin Winston Jr. stinks. All right, that's it.
Wow.
He's got a lot of buzz. We've been getting a lot of comments about
A lot of comments. Yeah.
We will clip that up and tag market it on Twitter later. So that's going to do it. That's going to do it, guys. Thanks for following along with all of our draft coverage. I hope you've enjoyed it. I hope it makes the draft more enjoyable for you. Be sure you're following these guys on Twitter. Ryan is at Philly Sports PSA. Dibes is at Mr. Crockpot. Mark is at – actually, you changed your handle. It's not Mark Henry Jr. _ anymore. And I noticed that because I was testing all the links on the draft guide. It's Mark Henry Jr. NFL now, right? So I need you to change that so I stop saying it wrong. I am at Shane Half NFL, and we will catch you guys next time.